Hey guys, this is Vijay Dinakar. In this video, I want to talk about what to do if you're an immigrant and you're arrested. So in one sense, if you're arrested as an immigrant, you do exactly the same thing if you're arrested as a US citizen. So if you're actually just arrested, you should definitely not speak to the police. You should try to bail out, and you should then try to hire an attorney. But in another sense, as an immigrant, in addition to having to worry about potential jail, potential probation, potential community service and classes, you additionally have to worry about what's going to happen to you and your immigration status. Because definitely any kind of criminal matters, including criminal arrests, criminal convictions, can have a devastating impact on your immigration status. So that means if you're here on a green card, on a visa, or you're here on no documentation at all as an immigrant, you definitely have to be worried about what's going to happen to that status if you are arrested. So in my practice, I handle a lot of cases involving immigrants arrested in the Bay Area, and this issue definitely comes up a lot. They're concerned about what's going to happen with their immigration status, if they're going to be deported, if they're not going to be able to extend their visa, if they're going to be able to get a green card, or if they have a green card, if they're going to lose that or eventually become able to get US citizenship. So just generally, immigration law is federal law. So the United States Congress has passed laws regulating people who are not US citizens coming into the country, and then they have passed regulations with respect to those immigrants in terms of what crimes would cause them to lose that immigration status. So not all crimes and not all arrests will result in a person, for instance, if they have a visa or green card, losing that status, but some of them will. So definitely when you're selecting an attorney to represent you in the criminal case, you want to be selecting someone who has a lot of experience representing immigrants, because again, you're not simply worried about the immediate consequences to, for instance, your job and your background and whether you're going to go to jail, but you're most potentially concerned about what's going to happen to immigration status. Now, let's say that, for instance, you're arrested in California for a 273.5, which is basically a domestic violence offense. And that offense, if you look at the immigration federal statute, is what is considered a crime of violence. And if you are convicted of that crime of violence, you definitely do face removal or deportation. So in a sense, if you get convicted of that offense as an immigrant, that's essentially like the death penalty for you. And so when you are represented by an attorney and you're, for instance, accused of domestic violence or any other offense which could have the outcome of being removed or rendered inadmissible, you want to make sure that your attorney is trying to get an outcome that does not have the possibility of being removed or deported in it. So not all statutes do. So for instance, if the case was, after it was filed, dismissed, then you're not going to have the possibility of removal facing you. For instance, if you were convicted of a Penal Code Section 415 or disturbing the peace, which is often a common outcome in a domestic violence offense, again, that is not a removable offense. Now, under California Penal Code Section 1016.3b, the prosecutors in the state of California, that is all county prosecutors locally, are required as part of their plea negotiation to consider immigration consequences. So, and that makes sense and it's perfectly fair because, again, for a non-immigrant, they only have a few things to worry about in terms of outcomes of a criminal case. They're obviously going to worry about their job. They're going to worry about going to jail. They're going to worry about community service. They're going to worry about, just having a criminal record, period. Immigrants will worry about all those things, but in addition, they're going to worry about where they're going to be able to live. And by that point, they may have US citizen children. They may have lived in the United States for many years. And so for them, the outcome which they may face is different than a US citizen. So the California law does require that prosecutors consider any outcome in terms of immigration consequences. Additionally, defense attorneys, both through federal Supreme Court law, as well as California statute, are required to try to get an immigration-safe outcome for anyone here who is, in fact, an immigrant. So I'm going to be making future videos about the specifics of immigration consequences of criminal offenses, but I think you can definitely see that as an immigrant, you face an additional obstacle if you are arrested, because in addition to your job and your background and what you might face in terms of punishment, you additionally face the possibility, the real possibility, that your immigration status might be affected. But I don't want you to lose hope. I have successfully represented literally hundreds of immigrants and been able to keep their immigration status intact. They have gone on to become green card holders and U.S. citizens. So I hope you learned a little bit in general about immigration consequences of criminal matters. Take care and all the best.